Greetings viewers, I am Chandrasekhar Nene. I study international relations. Along with me is Harshad, the videographer. What we are going to talk today is a very memorable occasion. Today is 16 December 1921. 50 years back, on 16 December 1971, India's armed forces had a spectacular win against Pakistan's armed forces, and we broke the back of Pakistan army, but that's not all. We actually broke the nation called Pakistan. We created a new nation in 3 months' time after the war ended. The new nation is, of course, everybody knows, it's called Bangladesh. The war was fought by India on both the fronts, Western Front and Eastern Front. Like all previous wars, this also was started by Pakistan. This is very interesting. Pakistani people never learn from their mistakes. They never learn from the bloody nose, and they bring that nose again and again to be squashed by India. In all the earlier wars also same thing happened. They start the war, we hit them very hard, so they get back. Then they again come, again start the war. This is a pattern with them. I think there is something wrong with the psyche of that nation, certainly psyche of their rulers. In any case, they started the war on 3rd December 1971, and by starting bombing our civilian airports in Amritsar, Pathankot and other places close to the western border. And India, of course, was ready for this occasion. We started retaliation. Within couple of days' time, we finished Pakistani Air Force, and we had a complete air superiority in the west as well as in the east, because the war mainly was fought in eastern Pakistan. Then it was called Eastern Pakistan. It was the Eastern Bengal at that time, before partition. And Indian armed forces had a glorious battle of those 14 days, 15 days, and they completely finished the Pakistani army in East Bengal, in Eastern Pakistan. And this later on, in 3 months' time, it became a new nation called Bangladesh. We all know about that. But at that time, the heroes who actually carried it out was General Manekshaw, Sam Manekshaw. He was the one who planned this entire venture along with his colleagues in the armed forces, of course. On the Eastern Front, the Eastern Theatre commander was General K.P. Kandet. He directed the actual operations in Bangladesh, and he ensured the victory in Dhaka. His boss was General Jagjit Singh Arora, who later on went and had the signing ceremony of a surrender. Now, this surrender was carried out by General Niazi, who was the in charge of the Eastern Pakistan armed forces at that time, and he signed a surrender document. You can see the surrender ceremony in the video. Now, when he signed the surrender document, he also signed up 93,000 prisoners of war of his army. After Second World War, this is the largest number of prisoners of war taken by any country against any enemy. And what is important is, World War is different, this was a regional war. Even in regional war, since then, nowhere we have seen 93,000 soldiers surrendering. But they surrendered. In fact, at that time, the Bangladeshi people, the East Pakistan people were asking for handing over these culprits to their own populace. They said, these 93,000 monsters, demons, they have done the cruelties and atrocities against our people. They are actually accountable to us for punishment. Hand them over to us, and we will make sure that they receive the just and right punishment. But we followed the code of conduct in wars. This is always the issue. India always follows the code of conduct. Pakistan never follows any code of conduct. Anyway, this happened this time also, and we took them to India. We wanted to use them as a bargaining chip against Pakistan. But taking care of 93,000 soldiers, you have to feed them. They don't do any useful work. We know that. We have to keep guards on their prisons. So it's a headache. And during Simla agreement, Bhutto later confided with his daughter that Indira Gandhi will not be able to hold these 93,000 soldiers permanently. So Bhutto used this perhaps as a bargaining chip rather than India using it as a bargaining chip, and he secured, without surrendering his portion of Kashmir, he secured the surrender of his 93,000 soldiers. But this was also wrong from another perspective. When these 93,000 soldiers returned to Pakistan, they were completely wild, and Pakistani populace was completely against them. These bloody soldiers who have come back, एनिमी को अपनी पीठ दिखा के आए हुए ये सब लोग हैं, दैट वाज द व्हाट दे हैव टू हियर. सो दे वर वेरी फ्रस्ट्रेटेड, वेरी एंग्री. जनरल टिक्का खान, हु वाज द मिलिट्री कमांडर इन द वेस्ट, he actually utilized them and threw them into Balochistan to carry out the same kind of atrocities. They anyway knew how, they didn't know how to fight. They knew how to surrender, they knew how to plunder, they also knew how to torture innocent civilians. So they did that torturing business in Balochistan. Later on, Baloch leaders confided into with Indian leaders that you got this menace and they threw it upon us. So we were having the same fate as the Bengalis then, and Balochis were given the same treatment. And trivia is Imran, General Niazi, his surname Niazi is actually, he is from a Pathan tribe called Niazi, which has been settled long back into Pakistan, but Niazi is the tribal surname. We also have one more Niazi in today's Pakistani politics. Current Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, never uses his surname because the surname happens to be Niazi, which is a hated word in Pakistan. So Imran Khan Niazi is related with General Niazi, somewhat distantly related with General Niazi. But one thing is interesting, that General Niazi knew how to sign a surrender. Imran Khan doesn't have to learn it new. I think it comes into his genes, how to surrender. Because now the time has come after 50 years to repeat the performance for India. Just there was a nation called Bangladesh then, now there is a nation, there is a nascent nation called Balochistan, because Baloch people have been subjected to so much cruelty by the Punjabi elite of Pakistan that they are fed up now. So they want now out. They want to liberate themselves, they want to come out of Pakistan. Their latest problem is, because there has a port called Gwadar in Balochistan, on the southwest corner of Balochistan there is Gwadar, and Gwadar port is actually the terminal point of the CPEC corridor, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So port is being developed. Gwadar was a deep port to begin with, it has been made even deeper. There is almost 25-meter pit is dug there by dredging, and big trawlers can come into Gwadar. And what these trawlers do? They are Chinese owned trawlers, they come and do fishing. And when they do the fishing, they actually use very heavy nets with weights tied to them. So the nets go up to the bottom of the sea and it completely scours the sea bottom. So all the marine life is taken out. The useful fish are taken by the fishermen, fisher folk, and remaining is just thrown into the sea. It is an ecological disaster. It is a marine ecological disaster, but it is also a human disaster, because there are 30 lakh people, 3 million people in coastal Balochistan. The coast is around 800 kilometers long coast. They are there and their sole livelihood is fishing in this Arabian Sea, in the coast, near the coast, and they have small boats, so they can't compete with the trawlers. Now they are actually starving to death because all the fish is being taken by these Chinese, and these trawlers are contracted by government itself. Government gives them permission to trawl and fish in their waters. That's why they are come and they are completely destroyed Balochistan's economy. Balochistan incidentally is the largest province of Pakistan. It is 40% landmass of the remaining Pakistan, and it is the richest province because it has got mineral wealth, it has got gold, it has got copper, it has got gemstones, it has also got gas and oil. So it is the one which has got all the mineral wealth of Pakistan. So you would think that Balochistan is a rich province. Balochistan is a rich province, but Baloch are the poorest people of the province. They are the poorest people. Because Pakistan treats Balochistan as a colony, they do not give any royalties to the Baloch people. They keep killing Baloch, they keep hitting Baloch, they keep torturing Baloch, and all the time they are treating them as a subhuman category. So they have had just about enough. And on the top of it, this trawler business actually has created them a starvation situation today. So it is being called by their current leader called Hidayatur Rahman. He is from Jamaat-e-Islami Balochistan. He used to be with the Pakistan army before, but now he is against the Pakistan army, and he is calling this a trawler mafia. Also in Balochistan, Pakistani security forces are creating havoc. Everywhere you have to go, you have to show your ID and all that. It is called the border mafia. So he is now against this trawler mafia, border mafia. Gwadar city has had the largest demonstration for last 1 month, and they intend to sit there for a year if it takes them, against the Pakistani establishment, against the Pakistani government, and Pakistani military, which means against Islamabad and Rawalpindi both. So India has got an opportunity. This is another Bangladesh in the making. Niazi is there to quickly sign the surrender document. Indian army is ready. I think it is time now to start the dismembering of Pakistan, starting with Balochistan. After Balochistan, the next will be the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the Pashtuns there, the Pathans. They are already wanting a separate country. They want to amalgamate their province with Afghanistan itself. So that is going. Sindhu Desh movement is taking big force and big movement going on in Sindh in Pakistan to separate from Pakistan. Ultimately, Pakistan will be remaining only the small West Punjab. Let us hope this comes out sooner. If you like this video, please share it with your friends and relations. Please subscribe to our channel. Please send your comments which aid us in making better videos in future. Thank you for watching.